Test.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Candidates Forum for those individuals seeking the office of Mayor of the City of Pelham. My name is David Nolan. I'm with M&F Bank here in Pelham, and I'm serving this year as the chairman of the Board of Directors for Greater Shelby County Chamber of Commerce. We're pleased to co-host this event tonight along with the Shelby County Reporter. Our chamber, along with the Chambers of Commerce of Calera and Montevallo and the South Shelby Chamber, have all gone together to sponsor mayoral candidate forums throughout all the municipalities in Shelby County this year. And we hope that you find this both informative and interesting. We are very pleased that you're here with us tonight. We feel like that it shows that you are interested in what goes on in your community and that you want to be an informed voter. Out of respect for our candidates and for all the attendees here tonight, we do ask that you switch your cell phone or your beeper or any other electronic device that you have to silent mode. Before we begin our forum, let me express our thanks to our candidates tonight for agreeing to participate in this forum, and not only that, but also for agreeing to put themselves forth for public service. We do appreciate that, and I want to introduce them to you in alphabetical order. Don Murphy, Steve Powell, and Jerry Waters. Also, while we know that tonight's forum is geared for the mayoral candidates, we do know that there are a lot of individuals running for the office of the Pelham City Council. So if you are here tonight and you are a candidate for the Pelham City Council, first of all, we appreciate you being willing to serve your community, but would you please stand and be recognized? Let me explain a little about the format for the evening. Each candidate will be asked the same question and will be given 2 minutes to respond. The sequence for answering the questions will rotate alphabetically. The candidates have not been given the questions beforehand, so they may ask us to repeat the question just to make sure that they are prepared to answer it. In the interest of time, there will be no opening statements. However, at the conclusion of our question time, there will be an opportunity for closing statements, which will also be no longer than 2 minutes. The sequence for the closing statements was determined beforehand by drawing, and they were able to choose the position that they desired for that. Daniel Holmes with the Shelby County Reporter will act as our timekeeper and will provide each candidate with an idea of how much time they have remaining. This is Kirk Manser. If you haven't met him, Kirk is our new chamber president and CEO, just joined us last month, and we're very glad to have him with us. He will be asking the questions of each candidate. So Kirk, let's begin with the first question.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. And let me express my thanks to each of you for being here as well. Our first question will start with Mr. Murphy. Sorry, it's my Yankee accent, I apologize. Mr. Murphy, please share with the audience why you would like to serve for another term as mayor for the city of Pelham.
Good evening, everyone. I appreciate everybody coming. It's got a good turnout. I want to be your mayor for one more term. 4 years ago, about this time, I told you I would look after your money, make sure your city stays strong, keep your services good, make sure your children are protected. I've done that. And we've got some things that I'd like to see accomplished. One of them being a new library. I think our citizens needs a new library in this city. I think it's the cornerstone of what's developed here. We need a downtown center in Pelham. Right now, we've got 2 roads that goes through Pelham. If you're financially strong, you're not in the red, you own property, and it's returning the 9.5% profit to you. I've worked hard as your mayor, and I'd like to continue working for you. Thank you.
Mr. Powell, if you'll please share with the audience why you would want to serve as mayor for the city of Pelham.
Yes, and I want to echo the same sentiment. Thank you for being here tonight. It's an honor to be standing up here before you, and it's a privilege that all of you come out to hear from your candidates for mayor. And the response I have to that question is not what I want that matters. It matters not what I want to do anything in my life. What matters is what do you want? You're the voters. You're the people that will go to the polls on Tuesday. And you'll cast that vote and decide which of the 3 gentlemen before you will serve you for the next 4 years as your mayor. What I'm offering you is a direction moving forward. I was raised by a businessman. We traveled all over the country during the formative years of my life, and I was exposed to the principles of business. My father was the youngest of 13 brothers and sisters, and he got his degree by putting himself through Howard College. It doesn't mean I'm a businessman any more than living next to the water means I can swim. What it does mean is that the chance is great that I understand the principles, just like if you live next to the river. So I absorbed a lot of business principles during the discussions we had at the table, during the times that we traveled back to Birmingham when we moved up and down the East Coast. So there's a lot of information I bring to the table regarding business. There's also a lot of information that I bring to the table regarding government. I began my service at 16 years old. I've served as a volunteer, I've served as a career firefighter, and spent 21 years as your fire marshal. I interacted during those years with businesses. I began to understand and grow my knowledge of business principles and practices and what the business community expects from the government entity and how we can move forward together in a controlled method so that we end up with a good product at the end. So again, it's not what I want that matters, it's what you want that matters, and I'm offering myself a service to you under those principles of moving Pelham forward as a hybrid personality of business, government, law enforcement, fire service, and a well-rounded resume to do that for you. Thank you.
I guess you could say public service for me at this point in my life it's more of a reflex than anything else. I don't want you to believe that I'm seeking the mayor's office because it's an automatic choice. That's not it. The son of a professional soldier, we moved all over the country. We moved all over the world. I graduated from high school. I went in the Army myself. I heard of this small town called Pelham, Alabama. And I promise you that when I heard about the vacancy that existed for a paid firefighter, I had to get a map out to find out where Pelham was. And I came and I applied for a job in Pelham, and I moved here, and I've been here ever since. I've never lived anywhere longer than I've lived here. And I love this town. I don't like what our town has become, and that's why I ran for mayor in 2008, and that's why I'm running for mayor again, because I see the towns around us doing better than we're doing in spite of the recession, in spite of the economy. We can't blame everything that falls on us. We can't blame the federal government. We can't blame the economy. Our town is not doing as well as it should. Our town is not doing as well as it could. And I believe that I have the clever combination of experience, of public service, of insight, of common sense to make a difference in our city. And that's why I'm running. That's why I want to be your mayor.
In the interest of time, I appreciate everyone's interest.
We're going to face highs and we're going to face lows. And I promise you, if you ever run for public office, you'll experience those highs and lows coming in rapid succession. But the first thing that the mayor does is the leadership. It's the person that provides an anchor for the community to grow, for the community's direction, and for the community's priorities. A mayor is someone that should be the representative of the people. The mayor should be someone that you can talk to about your problems, that you can be assured is going to listen and respond to your problems. The mayor is someone that the business community should rely on to hear their needs and to work with them to develop relationships, to work with them to build trust, and work with them to work together to create a great environment here in Pelham. The mayor is someone that the employees should look to for confidence, someone to look to for stability, someone that is not going to be the person that gives them everything they want, but gives the guidance and direction, the firmness, and the stability that they know, and the confidence to go out in the workforce and do what it is that they do. When things don't go correctly, you know, discipline sometimes is a necessary component. I need it, the community needs it, businesses need it, our people need it. But that's part of the growing process, it's part of the maturing process. So the mayor's got to be that person to you. The mayor also is one of the primary responsible parties for the fiscal responsibility. A lot of that role lies with the council. The council is the one that's statutorily responsible for the budget and approval of the budget. But the mayor traditionally is the one that presents a budget, that manages the expenditure of the budget. So fiscal responsibility is a major priority of the mayor also. Thank you.
The way I see it, the mayor in City Hall is your face to the world. When they see the mayor's face, they see your face. When the mayor does well, we all do well. When the mayor does not do well, the city does not look good and we do not do well. I agree with Steve that leadership from the very top is essential. We've all heard of trickle-down economics. Well, there's something quite similar but much more important when you're talking about municipal government. It's called trickle-down leadership. If you don't have leadership in the mayor's office, it doesn't matter how fundamentally sound the council is or how well they get along if the mayor and the council do not talk to one another. If you don't have that leadership bond, I've told a lot of folks on the campaign trail that in my view, the relationship that exists between a mayor and a council is quite like the relationship that exists between a husband and a wife. You know, you have to have that chemistry or it doesn't work. Now, I'm not talking from personal experience on that regard, but the mayor is responsible for everything the city does or fails to do. That's the essential truth regarding the mayor's office and who sits in that office. It's not just about kissing babies and cutting ribbons anymore. It's the mayor that you have to look to for everything that goes forward. It's the mayor you have to hold accountable for when things don't go well. That's what I think the mayor is.
The mayor's job is to look after the people's properties, their money, their schools, all the assets that we have in the city. It's our responsibility to make sure they stay strong, that you get good service, because service is the only thing the city has to sell. Service to the people. I've got 4 years' experience of mayor. Neither one of these gentlemen has 1 minute of experience as mayor. You have to learn to be a mayor. It's not something that just wake up that day, so I'll be a mayor. It's not. I also have experience of being in the county commission and the state representative. I can deal with state matters, I can deal with county matters. I know how to go get grants. And we've got a lot of grants and stuff in this community that we've never gotten before. A mayor looks after his people, and he don't always give everything the people wants, where he can always solve the problems. And the mayor and the council gets blamed a lot of times for things beyond their control. But you're still there, and you got to be open and transparent. And ladies and gentlemen, you cannot be any more transparent than I've been. We put all the records, your records, from 1964 on the computer. If you want to know anything that's happened in any meeting since 1964, all you have to do is get on the internet and look. It's there. I haven't tried to hide one thing. Thank you.
Okay, with our third question, we'll start with Mr. Waters. Each of you kind of touched on a little bit of this, but maybe a little bit more specific. If you're elected, what specific skills or strengths do you possess which you believe will benefit the city of Pelham?
Leaders make decisions. Leaders don't always make good decisions, but leaders nonetheless make decisions. That's what they do. Your mayor should embody servant leadership in that every time the mayor opens his mouth, he should be representing your interests. Some of the background I have that lends itself to the decision-making process is the time I spent in the military. I spent 3 years as an enlisted soldier, and I spent another 21 years as a commissioned officer. And in the training whereby you earn your commission, you're taught to make decisions under pressure. They teach you to make decisions when you don't have the optimum time and planning to make that decision. They actually give you tasks to do and not a reasonable time frame to accommodate that task. And they do that so when you're not under pressure, decision making is very easy. I was the fire chief here in town for 24 years. I don't believe I would have remained your fire chief for 24 years if I had a problem making decisions. Decisions I made as the fire chief and the folks that I was responsible for, if we made an error, sometimes it had catastrophic consequences. It's not a matter of losing a big bank deal, or it's not a matter of we didn't get the interest rate we wanted. When a firefighter and a fire chief makes an error in judgment, things are destroyed and people are sometimes injured or die. So I believe it's my background in emergency services and it's my background in military leadership that lends itself well to what I'm seeking to do.
Mr. Murphy.
Love. You gotta love the people, the job that you're doing, the things that you love to see happen in this community. This is a community of love. You can say leadership if you want to, and I have that ability to lead. But when it gets down to it, it's love and integrity, honesty. That's what everybody's looking for. That's what they need. And we do have a loving community. Unfortunately, we had an officer killed in the line of duty. And this community came together and raised $235,000 in less than 35 days. And it was leadership that people had asked us to do, try and see what we could do for the families of the first responders. And his wife, she set up a foundation for first responders. Now folks, that's just love, that's all that is. And that's about all you can expect to get out of this world. There's love, fairness, honesty. Do what you can for the people. Look after the children. The senior citizens, look after them. Do what you can as you go through life, helping one another, and not bickering and fighting, screaming and hollering, and negative and this on everybody or everything that happens. That's how we got more. Thank you.
I began answering that question a little bit earlier when I talked about the hybrid aspect of my personality. That is the business, the multiple layers of fire service that I bring to the table. And the fact of the matter is, Pelham is not on fire, and we're not being invaded by a foreign force. So the qualities Mr. Waters possesses, I commend. I work for him, and I commend the leadership that he brought to the City of Pelham Fire Department. I commend his military service, and I commend that service of his father. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not the challenges we face moving forward. We face economic challenges because of the economy that we're not in control of. We've got to think differently than we've thought over the last 30 years. We've got to challenge ourselves as a city. We've got to challenge, the employees have to challenge themselves. The businesses have to challenge themselves. And just like I opened this forum when I said it's not about what I want, and that's the way that we all need to embrace the future. It's not what about we as individuals want, it's what we can come together as a community and accomplish together. And it takes someone with a business background to understand the model that is necessary for business to succeed. It takes someone who has been successful in negotiating with developers, with contractors, with businessmen, multi-million-dollar projects to small projects that involve a few $100s. It takes someone who can span that gap and communicate with all levels of people that we're going to be with and be dealing with. So it takes someone that can bring the community together. It takes someone that can negotiate. And I think it takes experience. Mr. Murphy has been the mayor for 4 years, but I've been on the council for 4 years as well. And I'll end with a quick story. A council member that I used to sit at the table with back when I was in high school, because his son and I ran together, known him for a long time, came up to me after being on the council for a few months and said, "What do you think, Steve?" And I said, "You know, it's amazing how much 3 feet of elevation changes your perspective." And he looked at me and said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Because it wasn't a time when I sat in the audience, the council or the mayor was faced with a decision that I didn't immediately know the correct answer. Because at the time I was sitting in the audience, the only person that I was accountable to was the person to my left, the person to my right, or the friend I talked to at home or on my way home that I got to share that experience with, and nobody else knew. So that experience is valuable moving forward as well." Thank you.
Okay, with the next question, we'll start with Mr. Murphy. What are 3 specific things you hope to accomplish in the next 4 years as mayor?
Financially strong. You're financially strong, and I intend to keep you that way. And I've got the experience, and you know, you've been kept that way. Your city is financially stronger than any other. Incredibly strong was the word that the accountant used. Now some people say, well, the mayor didn't get that. Well, if he'd have said incredibly bad, who would you have said got bad? Would you say we blame it on the council? Would you say you blame it on somebody else? No. You'd say you blame it on the mayor. So folks, if you're going to blame him, then give the credit. Your credit is a strong city. I inherited a strong city. We went through 4 years of tough economic times. People moving out of the city, but there's not a city in the state of Alabama that people hadn't moved out of. And they're doing it every day. And if you're just naive if you don't think that's not the economy, because that's what it is, the economy. We've got people bankrupt, we've got people losing their homes, and they're not doing it because they want to. It's because of the times we're in economically, and it don't look like it's going to improve. I've kept you strong, I've kept your city strong, I've kept your services good. And I'll do it another 4 years if you elect me. Thank you.
Yes, sir. What are 3 specific things you hope to accomplish during the next 4 years as mayor?
As it's already been said, and I've repeated it a couple of times with Mr. Murphy the same way, you know, we've got a responsibility moving forward to get our fiscal house in order. You know, it's hard for us to recruit businesses. It's hard for us to ask our neighbors to do without when we within the government are still continuing to spend big money on certain projects. Now, you know, the last 4 years we've held a fairly stable budget, but the next few years are going to be somewhat challenging depending on which forecast you look at. So the one thing that we've got to do is we've got to rethink and reevaluate the way that we go forward with our budgets so that we provide fiscal stability for the city of Pelham and the city of Pelham's future. Like I mentioned earlier, discipline's not always fun, but it's necessary. Just like discipline is necessary in fiscal issues, because if we spend what we've got today, we don't prepare a plan for the future, when the time comes when the money's not coming in, or we reach catastrophic failure for some event outside of our control, then we're not going to be prepared. The second thing that I want to do is I want to restore trust in our employees in City Hall. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, sometimes good people make mistakes, and sometimes people do things that are out of whack and you shouldn't get away with. But that's not the situation that faces most of our employees. There's a lack of confidence. I've spoken on this issue multiple times, and I'm on record over the last 4 years for fighting for the employees' rights and fighting to keep the pay that they had, the benefits that they had. And for those of you concerned, I haven't offered and not fought once to give employee raises. So if you're an employee and you're upset with me, I apologize for that. In principle, in substance, but not in principle, because our city can't afford that right now. We've got a responsibility to prepare for the future. But I do want to restore the trust in employees and in City Hall so that they're free to go out and do their work. They're free to make some mistakes, be coached through it, and end up being better servants for you, the citizens of Pelham, just like City Hall is a servant for you, the city of Pelham. So I'm out of time, so we'll talk about the third one later.
All right, I'm really going first because I'm the only one that's going to answer the question. First thing I want to do is I want to talk this new council into reducing our sewer rates. They are too high. They're causing a burden on the citizens, and they're contributing to business flight, which is number two. I'd like to stop business flight. I want to stop the businesses from leaving Pelham. This is not rumor. This is not hearsay. Last time I came to you, I told you I've gone to 300 businesses. To date, I've gone to 366 businesses, and they will confirm for me exactly what I'm telling you is the truth. Pelham has gotten too expensive to operate in. This mayor and council raised your sewer rates 100% over a 24-month period. It was irresponsible and it was unnecessary. The $30 million in cash reserves that Mayor Hayes left over a 24-year period was exactly designed to meet the needs, what they told you the sewer increase was for. Yes, there was a need for a $2.7 million chemical feed building, but there was $30 million in cash reserves to meet things just like that. The third thing I want to do is I want to put a fire station out in the Pelham-Chelsea area. It's a shame and it's a disgrace that we have people in Pelham today that have to wait 12 to 15 minutes for emergency services that the people that live in core Pelham and downtown Pelham take for granted. It's unconscionable. How can you possibly talk about building a new library when you have people waiting for essential emergency services 15 minutes? It's irresponsible.
Here with our next question, we'll start with Mr. Powell. Each of you mentioned businesses. What specific plans do you have to help attract more businesses into the city of Pelham as mayor?
It starts with cleaning up our house, and I've said enough about that. The next thing that we've got to do is we've got to create excitement and we've got to create energy in the city of Pelham. Now, how many of you have an iPhone or an iPod or an iPad? People line up days before they come to market. Why? It's a phone. The new phone's not going to do much more than the old phone did. It's going to take pictures, it's going to talk, it may do a little thing faster, but there's an excitement, there's an energy that was created by Steve Jobs when he came back to Apple, and there was over 200 products that he had, or Apple had in the marketplace. He reduced that to about 20. So what they did is focus on what they do best. So we as Pelham need to focus on the things that we do best. And in doing so, that is, we need to market our amenities, such as the Civic complex that we're in today. We need to market the Racket Club. We need to market the Ballensford Golf Course. We need to partner with Oak Mountain State Park. We need to partner with Oak Mountain Amphitheater. In doing so, we're going to create certain energies by bringing people into Pelham. Then we need to work along the creek here. In addition to that, we need to tie State Park to this parking lot on a 2.2-mile trail that can go along a lot of the right-of-way that was recently cleared. We're coming down from the MMI water tank and turning back to the four-way stop. There's a road, there's trees, and there's a clear right-of-way. It's the perfect opportunity to move forward with that project. Now we're beginning to bring people into Pelham. Simultaneously, our marketing director needs to get out of the city hall and get out of the building and be on an airplane, be in a car, traveling around the country, meeting people, identifying those companies that desire to move, offering ourselves to them, bringing feedback to the mayor, bringing feedback to the council of how we need to adjust, shift, and prepare for those people to come to Pelham. And those are some of the major ways that we can begin to attract energy, which is going to attract people, which is going to bring about prosperity. So thank you.
We really don't need to get on an airplane to start repairing the relationship between the city of Pelham and the business community. Now, I will admit that the zoning laws that we currently have on the books were not enacted by this administration. However, 31 years of service with the city of Pelham, I noticed something about municipalities in general, and Pelham specifically. Pelham has always been very diligent about enacting timely and necessary legislation. However, this is what municipalities do not do well. They seldom, if ever, go back and revisit those same ordinances that for some reason are no longer current or no longer relevant. And I'm here to tell you folks, after talking to the business community, our planning and zoning laws that our business community have to comply with, they are too heavy-handed, they are too rigid, it makes Pelham too expensive to operate in. Compounding the problem is we have an enforcement division of our building department that has their foot on the neck of Pelham business. Pelham, whether you want to believe it or not, has acquired the reputation for being hostile to business. We have contractors that will not do business in Pelham because just the permitting process is too rigid. The number one issue among the business community in Pelham is the sign ordinance. These business people, they incur the risk of investing their money to build a business in Pelham, but the sign ordinance is so rigid they can't even advertise their location. So we don't have to get on a plane to find the solution now. What I would like to do, instead of going out and dancing and trying to bring in these big box stores, what I'd like to do is safeguard what we have now, because ultimately what's happening as you're dancing and courting this new business, you have two existing businesses going out the back door. I want to reestablish some communications with our existing business community and stabilize our small business community today.
Let me straighten something out. Tell you what the mayor can't do. The mayor can't roll back sewer prices. Straighten another misnomer out that just was laid on me a minute ago. That sewer went up 100%. That's not true. Sewer went from $22 on usage of 3,000 gallons of water to $24.36. That's minimum. So folks, you hear stuff that we're going to do this and we're going to do that. You better find out what the mayor can do and can't do. I didn't raise the sewer rates. Council, that's the council's responsibility, and they done it. I do not have a problem with what they've done because it needed to be done. For 20 years in Pelham, we've reached over into this sack and we've taken money out of this sack, and that's the general fund, and subsidized sewer. We can't kid ourselves. That's what they're doing in Washington. They're kidding themselves. We'll just manufacture more money. If you're going to stay strong, you better go by what you can do as far as taking care and putting the responsibility where it belongs. People's rates in Pelham is higher, I agree. But it's not right for the east side of Pelham to pay for sewer because they're on sewer. They have a sewer system. And I'm talking about Ballantree and out in the area and the other people that's on septic tank. Why should you be reaching in their sack, getting their money, and saying we're paying for the sewer? Now, one other thing. For the last 5 years, I have worked on bringing the hospital to Pelham. And we got that approved about a month ago. About a month ago, we got that approved. That's a community thing. It wasn't just me. It was a community that went together that brought that in. It's going to create 377 jobs. No one in the history of Pelham has done that.
Next question, we'll start with Mr. Waters. In your opinion, what are Pelham's biggest strengths, and how do you as mayor plan to take full advantage of those strengths?
When I moved to Pelham, the logo that was on the bumpers of the city vehicles was "Watch Pelham Grow." And I believe the next municipal slogan was Pelham Gateway of Opportunity. And then I think it was Mayor Hayes and his administration that coined the phrase "Pelham where the people make the difference." And I maintain that that's still our strength. I do. I do think that the other strength we have is, Pelham is still a viable town. but compared to where we should be and where we have been, we're just a little bit behind the 8 ball right now. We've all talked about it before. Pelham has just some jewels of recreational facilities. You know, having the largest state park in the state of Alabama within our corporate limits, that's a huge plus. This facility here, there's nothing else like it south of Huntsville, I think. We have Valentray, we have city parks. We have an aesthetic beauty in our town, which was one of the reasons when I came here, seeing if I wanted to live here, I thought how beautiful our town is with rolling hills and valleys. But I would have to say ultimately it's our people that are our strength. I look at what happens to people in the election cycle. We have some people that are so nice in Pelham that even if they don't want to support you, they say they will. I mean, I understand it. We have people that will put signs in their yard because they don't want to hurt your feelings, and I'm not criticizing that. I'm really complimenting that. I think that's really a good thing. So the workforce we have typically is a reflection of the people we have, and I will answer that question saying it's our people he's our strength.
Give me the question again, please.
Yes, sir. In your opinion, what are Pelham's biggest strengths, and how do you as mayor plan to take full advantage of those strengths?
No question about it. Pelham's strength is its people. The community that we have here, the people that's been here all these years that helped build Pelham, the new people that has come in and joined. That's the strength of Pelham, is its people. The love and care that this community has. That's where our biggest strength lies. And it doesn't help when you try to pin one against the other. And Gary, I agree with what you just said. I've had people say, I've got Gary's sign in my yard, but I'm going to vote for you, Mayor. So I know that's true, what you just said. I haven't had anybody that's got your sign yet, but I'm looking for one that said that. We need to work as a team, as a unit, for our community, and you need to tell us what you want, and you've done that. You've done that in a comprehensive plan. Several years before I got to be mayor. And every year since then, we've tried to uphold that comprehensive plan for Pelham and do what the people said they wanted done. And those sign ordinances we talked about, they were there when I got there. I don't like them. I'm a real estate agent. I don't like them, but they're there, and they do make your city look better than all the blinking lights we had 20 years ago, and the things that the lights, the monkey's throwing his hands up and down out on the highway, the balloons that's going back and forth. That don't bring business in, folks. And business is not leaving because our city is getting better looking. I'm telling you that.
Don't sound like a broken record, but there's 3 things that I want to talk about. It's people, its location, and our unique amenities. And it's not only the citizens, and I would go into the details. I believe, as these other gentlemen have said, our people are wonderful. They help their neighbors in need. They show up at these meetings. They express their voice. So y'all have emailed me, challenged me, encouraged me, and criticized me over the last 4 years, and I appreciate it because that makes me a better servant for you. But it's our business owners as well, the people that choose to make their living here, the employees that choose to earn their living here, and the ones that choose to shop here on their way to and from work. That's part of the people that make Pelham unique. It's also our employees that make Pelham unique. And I'm going to drift off. I don't know if any of y'all watch it. One of my favorite shows is Undercover Boss. Have anybody ever seen that show? The one that particularly stands out in my mind is it was a 7-Eleven type store, and there was a store that was serving way more coffee than anywhere else. And when the CEO went into that company and began to evaluate why that was, it's because of the personality of one employee in that organization. Well, our employees, almost 300 strong, are ambassadors for the city of Pelham. They're ambassadors for you. And on the right direction, under the right stability, they can return to that ambassador status. Location. We're located on 31 and I-65, and we've got 2 exits. There's opportunities for growth on I-65. If any of y'all have had to travel over the weekends during the summer, you see how much traffic goes down I-65 to the point that it's bumper to bumper sometimes. We've got the ability to use some marketing techniques and some ideas to draw people off the interstate to chill out, enjoy Pelham before they pick up their track south or pick up their track north on the way home. And the amenities I've already talked about that are unique. Hoover don't have the Civic complex, neither does Alabaster. Yes, they're growing in some commercial areas. Go down Warner Road, drive down Main Street in Alabaster. They're also leading businesses as well in certain areas. So we've got the unique amenities that I've spoken about earlier, and that's another special component for Pelham that makes us unique to anybody else to compete. We're not competing with them, we've got to market on those things. So thank you.
And with our next question, we'll start with Mr. Murphy. We've talked about how important people are to the community and one of the biggest strengths. How would you describe Pelham when asked by someone wanting to move to the community, to encourage them to move here?
I would tell them that they have an opportunity to move to the best state or the best country, if you're talking about the United States, best state in the United States, and the best city in the center of this state. Because absolutely Pelham's the best place in the world for anyone to live. We all chose Pelham, so I know we all didn't make a mistake. Did we? We came here because we wanted to. We came here because of the churches. We came here because of the schools. We came here because getting away from downtown Birmingham, get out away from Birmingham. We still have people coming in droves. We came here because we were trying to find a location that we can all have a decent life, a safe life, and a place we could raise our families, educate our children, and be happy. That's what it's all about, and that's why we're here. We all come for different reasons, but those are the reasons that I think all of us came to Pelham. Because we're looking for a place to live, love, get along, and have a decent life in this world that we're going through. And I think we're all enjoying that. If it wasn't, we'd have left.
The first experience I had with the city of Pelham was when we were traveling from wherever we lived, I think it was over in Georgia, to Mobile. And we came down through Pelham, down 31, and the first and longest lasting memory I have of Pelham was the American flags. Down the median, I guess it was a 4-lane road. I was a small child, and I was in the back seat of my mom and dad's cars. We were traveling to relatives down there, and that's the longest lasting memory. It precedes me even moving to Pelham. But then we moved to Pelham in 1974. Moved from Georgia to Pelham in 1974, and except for 2 years of that time, I lived in Pelham. Pelham creates opportunity. There's an opportunity if you're a young married couple, as my youngest son and his bride, they bought their first home in Pelham. I visited with people. I visited with a gentleman that's over 80 years old that lives in Pelham, over in Ballantrae. So there's the opportunity to come to Pelham, as I did in 74, and there's the opportunity to stay in Pelham for the rest of your life. There's the opportunity to raise children, as I did, 3 children that attended and graduated Pelham High School. The athletic programs that they participated in, the activities that my daughter participated in the Miss PHS pageant. It was just a wonderful time as a family. We spent times at the ballparks, we spent times at the restaurants, and we spent time with friends and family. So what I think is great about Pelham is you can begin your life here, and you can stay here, and there's enough to keep you housing satisfied, there's enough to keep you satisfied with your family, and there's enough to enable your family to grow and remain in Pelham. And I think it's just a wonderful place to live. Thank you.
If I were to talk to prospective residents talking about coming to Pelham, I would have no choice but to talk about the service infrastructure that we have here that is unrivaled. There's no doubt about it. You will not find a city anywhere the geographic size of Pelham or the population of Pelham has the service infrastructure we do. And it's by design. It started this way as a deliberate process. Many years ago, it was determined that Pelham would not be a place where employees come to stay a while and leave. We have career police officers here. We have career firefighters and paramedics here. And we have a workforce that's about as good as I've ever seen. Even though I will point out, I wouldn't point out to a prospective resident the problems we're having with our workforce now. And I don't believe our workforce is as efficient today as it was 4 years ago. When your civil service board finds it necessary to bring suit against the city of Pelham for failing to adhere to the personnel laws that dictate how you hire, how you fire, how you promote, how you pay, how you manage, how you care and feed your workforce, that's a bad day. That's a bad day when your personnel board sues the city it's representing. And that's ongoing now, simply because this mayor and this administration, they took it upon themselves to hire against the provisions of the civil service law, to promote against the provisions of the service law, to monkey with the pay, with the benefits. And I can tell you the happy factor among the city employees today is low. The morale in the city workforce is as low as I've ever seen it. I worked for the city 31 years, and yes, I know, morale among municipal employees is like the stock market. It goes up and it comes down, and it goes up and it comes down. But this time it's come down and it stayed down. And it's going to stay down until you have some leadership, until you have a council that's like-minded with the mayor that will recognize how valuable the workforce is. We have a councilman, one of my favorite quotes he ever made was, "We have to stop doing so much for the city employees and start doing something for the citizens." That's when I knew that gentleman doesn't get it. Because when you do something good for the city employees, you do something good for the citizens who live here.
Mr. Powell, start the next question with you. We've asked y'all how you would describe Pelham to someone who is considering moving to the community. Let's just tweak it a little bit and ask you to explain how you would describe Pelham to someone who is interested in starting a business in Pelham.
Under the conditions that exist now, I'd say we got problems. Those problems, first and foremost, I want to address an issue earlier, is when it was mentioned that the council approved the sewer rate increase. Yes, that's true, but it was not a majority. It was a majority of the council, but it was not 100% of the council. So whether you like it or don't like it, I opposed the sewer rate increase from the council, and it still passed 3-2. So that's one of the issues. We have to relook at it. We have to look at it and involve the community. We have to look at it and involve the stakeholders. And we have to look at it in broad perspective. We can't just simply say, going back to the business component of my personality, we can't say we're going to decrease revenues and increase costs. That doesn't work. So that's one thing we've got to do. We've also got to enable the code officials and the code process and the process of coming into the city. It's got to become an asset. And I can stand here before you today and tell you there's nobody in this room that's better prepared to do that than me. Again, I was the fire marshal for 21 years. During that 21 years, multiple millions of dollars of projects flowed across my desk. There was not a single formal complaint filed. There was not a single lawsuit brought against any of the actions that I was involved in. I had great reputation and a great working relationship with the business developers. So that's the second thing that we've got to clean up. We've got to make Pelham inviting so that the code process and the process of coming in, we're recognized as assets. We're recognized as people that you can come to for advice. And we can encourage you and give you solutions. For example, I was told by a businessman that I visited, he had the flag streamers up. And someone visited him within the last few months and said, those have got to come down. And he said, well, what can I put in your place? And the answer was, according to him, I wasn't there, I don't know. And that's just not the way that I did business, and that's not the way we need to do business going forward. So we need to become an asset for community growth and allow Pelham to prosper. Thank you.
Knowing what I know now after interacting with the business community as I have, I would probably start by offering an apology. And I hate to say that. If I were in a position to start a business in Pelham, I think I would second guess that decision today, as things are. I really can't, there aren't any words to describe among the business community how concerned they are for the lack of care and feeding they get from City Hall. They can't even get the mayor to return a phone call. There's a gentleman in this room, and I'm not going to point to him. We have a man that felt compelled to wire himself to record his conversation with a building official in this town because he knew what was coming. And I heard it with my own ears. I heard a building official for the city of Pelham berate this man, call him a liar, call his wife a liar, and tell him that it didn't matter if he got a business license or not, that we really didn't need his business, that he needed to go back where he came from. I'm telling you the truth. I asked the gentleman for the tape. You know what he told me? If you win, it's yours. But I'm telling you folks, this is the hostile environment I was speaking to a while ago. No business, after looking at the business climate we have in Pelham today, not what we had 10 years ago, but what we have today, no business in their right mind would choose of their own volition to come to Pelham and open a business. We're hostile to business. We're too expensive to operate in. And so I would probably start by offering an apology.
It's amazing we've got such hostility. All the large businesses that I know in Pelham supports me and have supported me. When you come down to the city hall, you turn your plans in, we turn the plans around and give you a permit in 3 days. That's unheard of. No other city around can do that. No other city around can get it back to you in 3 days and says, here's your permit, you can go to work. Folks, don't believe what you're hearing about the bad city hall and the bad things here. What we do is have some accountability. If you want to be in Pelham and work in Pelham, come buy you a permit, buy you a license. If you don't have a license, you're not going to work in the city of Pelham. It's that simple. People are nice to you down there just as well as they can be, unless you get out of place with the people that's working for the city of Pelham. Our people in our departments down there, they work good with people. People come in and when they've done something wrong or tried to skirt the issue or tried to keep them paying taxes or trying to pay a permit fee, trying to bootleg coming into the city, they come in right off thinking that somebody is going to fuss at them. And I know who you're talking about with the tape, and I know the conversation, and I know when it happened. And I'll tell you that the city of Pelham's employee was not wrong. We have a good place for the people that wants to have a legitimate business and come to Pelham and create a legitimate business in Pelham. Thank you.
Mr. Waters, we'll start with you with the next question. The Greater Shelby County Chamber of Commerce is an organization made up of approximately 1,000 businesses. What, in your opinion, can the Chamber do to help make the city of Pelham an even better place to live and do business?
I'll start with disagreeing with Mayor Murphy. Anytime a city employee finds it necessary to call a prospective business or client a liar, that's not right. That's wrong. North Shelby Chamber of Commerce, the evolution of the Chamber of Commerce in this part of the country, and we started years ago with Pelham Chamber of Commerce, and we were the North Shelby Chamber of Commerce, and now the Greater Shelby County Chamber of Commerce. And I think for what the Chamber is and for what they do, I think they're very effective. However, I believe the Greater Shelby County Chamber of Commerce is not as efficient as it could be meeting the specific needs of the member cities. And that's because it has grown to be a regional chamber and not a local chamber. I think what we've got to do is not reorganize the Greater Shelby County Chamber of Commerce, but I think we need to act upon Ron Scott's recommendation that he made when he was interviewing for the Place 2 vacancy to go back to a good old-fashioned Pelham Business Council. And I can tell you that is the one idea that I have broached to the businesses in this town that they are absolutely in favor of. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. The city of Pelham enacts policies every day that affects our businesses and their ability to do business. Yet they have very little say in the process. 70% of our folks that choose to do business in Pelham don't live here. So they don't have a voice that way. A quarterly meeting of a Pelham Business Council with an open microphone and municipal officials that are willing to take their licks and listen to the business community and let them tell us what we're doing well, what we're not doing well, get that instant feedback, put up some action registers and change the things that are causing our businesses to leave, and ask the resident experts who are our business leaders what we must do to recruit business, and they will tell us.
Got sidetracked. What was the question?
Yes, sir. Greater Shelby Chamber County Chamber of Commerce has roughly 1,000 organization members. What, in your opinion, can the Chamber do to help make the city of Pelham an even better place to live and do business?
I think we need not just the city of Pelham, I think the whole county. The Chamber of Commerce is responsibility for the whole county and making it a better place. And it's what we did. We've just started the Shelby One program, and I think that's an excellent program that you've started. I think you started when you came in here, or that we're working on at that point. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things, the best thing that's ever happened for the county, and it'll certainly help Pelham. But Pelham, there's nothing wrong with Pelham, folks. People holler because they don't have anything else. They don't have anything else to offer. They don't have the leadership to offer. We talked about leadership tonight, but I see very little of it. We're in good shape, our city. The people that wants to come here are coming. We've got people that's been here for 30 years and longer, and they haven't left. They're here, and they're not leaving. But we have people that comes in and tries to circumvent the law, do different things, don't pay their fair share, and they leave. And they do it in every city they go to. So what I'm saying is that our city is here. We don't have the facilities geographically to put big box shopping centers. So what we need to do is look for things in the educational field, the MBA program, have Montevallo to come up here to make this their northern campus, to have the hospital comes in, the doctors that'll follow them, the hotels and stuff that'll follow that. That's what we're looking for. We're not going to be putting any big box shopping centers in the city of Pelham. Geographically, it just don't lend the space for it. Too mountainous, got too many hills. It's too expensive to try to develop.
One of the things that the Chamber can help us do is one of the things mentioned in their organization is contacts. Knowing somebody and putting a face with a voice is important for developing contacts and for moving forward. Another thing is the development of relationships, both within the business community and back to City Hall. And I'm not the only one up here that's graduated from Leadership Shelby. A little bit about that, how it brings business and government together, is it's a year-long program, the best I can remember, and it relates business people and government officials through a series of a weekend retreat and then 1 weekend a month and a project in there. And that was a great opportunity that I had, and others in the room have had as well, to bring business and government together. Those relationships, those contacts create a great understanding, and they create a great problem-solving network. And also marketing opportunities are created through these communications and contacts. And what the Chamber can do is be the voice of the people, the voice of the business to the elected officials. If we don't know there's a problem, then we're not able to solve the problem. We're not able to plan ahead to address the problem. So having that voice from the Chamber back to government is important. And I agree that we need some small groups. And it actually started as the Pelham Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Alabaster then became the North Shelby. So the very early phases of this organization was dedicated to Pelham. And I believe we can partner with the Chamber and have some subset groups that can directly represent the businesses and be the voice of the businesses in Pelham in concert with the voices of the businesses within Shelby County, so that we can all build on those relationships and continue to foster and grow the success that the Chamber's already had. Thank you.
Mr. Murphy, we'll start the next question with you. Where do you see the city of Pelham in 4 years?
Stronger, more vibrant as far as I think our hospital will be here. I think our library will be well underway. Our North Shelby campus for the University of Montevallo will be well under its way as far as creating incubators and educational facilities on an MBA program that I hope we can bring to the city. I think that's two of the things that'll be happening in this area. The other thing is we've got some land that can be developed when the economy improves to the point where it's worth investing millions of dollars in excavation in order to put shopping center in. And I think that will happen. And that'll happen because of the hospital that we've got coming in and the spin-off businesses from that on Highway 52. I think that's the best intersection down in Pelham to be developed, and I think you'll see that happen. I don't think you'll recognize the intersection at 52 and I-65 in 4 years. It'll change greatly. If you want to make an investment, that'd be a good place to make an investment.
Could you ask that question to me Wednesday morning? I think it'd be a lot easier to answer then. But anyway, the things that I see, and I talked about them earlier, but I want to paint a picture in totality of what I've talked about. The first thing is I envision energy in Pelham, and excitement in Pelham that has kind of slid away from Pelham over, not the last 3 or 4 years, but over time. As we've gotten larger, and as the community's grown, we've become fragmented as a community. And one of the things that I would do to bring that energy back and that relationship element back was to bring some activities to Pelham. I mean, you should be able to watch the fireworks within your city on 4th of July. You should be able to do things in Pelham other than, and I'm not taking anything away from sports, but we should, like I mentioned when I talked at the forum that was put on by the Citizens Advisory Board, I work in Columbiana 2 days a week. I've got 2 small grandkids, and we go to Columbiana for activities to involve them with so that we can spend some quality time together. That's the thing I haven't talked about that we can bring to Pelham and create some energies. You know, I see us fiscally sound as far as our operations budget is concerned. I see us, like I mentioned earlier, we need to get lean and mean. And I'm not talking about a single layoff, I'm not talking about a single reduction in services. I'm talking about doing what we do and doing it better. Basically reinventing the way that we do things. And I think that's going to be something to be excited about going forward. It's going to create some opportunities to do things that we're not able to do now, such as be more involved in the schools and the education of our children. And that's one thing that I see going forward. Like I mentioned, I see this development of this property behind us so that you could come here, and it's another thing, instead of the community events that you can bring the kids, your grandkids, or involve yourself or your spouse, the ability to come down here and walk along the creek. I see the ability to park here, get your bicycle or your jogging shoes on, and end up 2.2 miles down the road at the ranger station and be able to come back. And those are some of the exciting things that I see in the next 4 years for Pelham. Thank you.
The first thing I see is a change of leadership. Living in the heart of collegiate football like we do, I can ask you a rhetorical question. How long do you let a losing football coach stay at the helm of a football team that has potential? He doesn't stay long. I see a change of leadership. I see a change of leadership on the council. What we've lacked the last 4 years, we've lacked a council. We have not had a council that could put their personal agendas aside to focus on what's in the best interest of the city of Pelham. We have not had a mayor that complements the council. We have not had a mayor that has able to use the full-time municipal staff to help the council do their jobs. And I'm not being totally oblivious to the strain that's been on this council. They have had to confine themselves with council business and other business that typically does not fall to a council. So I do see a change of leadership. I see another boom in Pelham, like we experienced in the late 80s. I see that coming again. We're going to get our reputation, we're going to fix our reputation of being business friendly again. We're going to fix the problems we have You know, our three-legged stool that should be City Hall, residence, and business is broken, and I see us fixing that. I see us through the quarterly business council meetings and the quarterly town hall meetings. I envision us talking about things like we never have before. Typically what we do now, we call a town hall meeting when we have a problem. I'd like to see us start talking all the time so all of us can be involved in brokering the solutions for our city. No, I'm not a pessimist, I am an optimist, and I don't mean to sound so fatalistic, but our little town is in distress, but I know we're going to be better for this.
Okay, with our next question, we'll start with Mr. Powell. As mayor, how and when will you be accessible to the public?
The same way I began being accessible to the citizens of Pelham when I was 16 years old when I served this community as a junior volunteer fireman. As soon as I was up the ladder far enough, I had a pager. Back before cell phones, yes, those people that are younger than me may not know what a pager is. But it was a pager where they gave you one-way communication. And when I went on payroll, we were required to carry a pager. We were required to serve our community and come in off duty to meet at least one volunteer drill a month. When I became the fire marshal, I was on call 24/7, 365. Once we had cell phones, I had a cell phone, but I was available 24/7, 365. In my history, I've led birthday parties. I've not been home on Christmas. I've been up all night on Christmas Eve, and I've sacrificed a lot of family time to serve the citizens of Pelham. And I'm not the only one in the room that's done that, and that doesn't make me any better than anybody else, but what it does say is that since I was 16 years old, I'm 50 years old today, for 34 years, I've been available to the citizens of Pelham 24/7, 365. So what you can expect from me for the access is it's a little easier now because unlike pagers, we've got email, we've got Twitter, we've got all the electronic communications available to us. That only makes it easier to get in touch with me. So I don't know how else to answer that, but ask 24/7, 365, just like I've done for 34 years. Okay.
I too, I will be totally available. You know, when I retired in 08 from the fire department, I'm telling you the truth, I turned the scanner off and I stopped listening to the fire department. My wife turned it back on because she said she can't sleep without it. So we're still listening to it, and I still sit up on the edge of the bed and I go on calls with these guys in my dreams and I think about things like that. But in the same way I've been available to the voters in this campaign is what I envision my accessibility being when I'm mayor. I like the personal touch. We have a gentleman here that I met last night, and I met him last night because he emailed me a series of questions, but I picked up the phone and called him, and we talked on the phone, and he's here tonight, and I met him in person. Chances are, if you call me, I'll come see you. If I can't come see you, I promise you I'll return your phone call. And I'm going to make the Pelham staff available to you. I think something that's terribly missing from our city council meetings is I'm going to require every department head in the city of Pelham that has an item on that agenda will be in that council meeting. If you have something that's going to be, you're going to be responsible for from 8 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, I'm not going to stand there and answer the questions for you. If you have a question relative to fire service, there should be somebody in that meeting to answer your question. And that's just the way I do business. The personal touch is the best way. I'm not that equipped to be a computer guy or a Twitter guy. I'm an old-fashioned telephone guy, face-to-face guy.
I'll continue the same thing I've done for the last 4 years. I'll be available to you people anytime you need me. All you have to do is come to City Hall. It's your building. Belongs to you. Don't belong to me. The car you let me drive belongs to you. It's not mine. No one can say they've come to City Hall and haven't been able to see me. That's not true. I leave standing orders. Anybody comes into City Hall needs to see me unless I'm in a meeting. They come and see me. We call everybody back. We try to answer every email. So that's, if you're saying that we're not available, you're not telling the truth. I know I can't. I've got the microphone. running the city is not like running a department. You run a department for 26 years. A city is a lot different. You have to run the whole city and be available. And I am available. And our people are available at every work session and every council. We have a staff meeting every Monday morning. Anything that's on the program or going to be on the council, we have our people there to answer the questions. We also have our support personnel, our engineers and other people that's outside the city there to answer the questions. So, I don't know where all this is coming from, it's just not true. I'm going to continue to do the same thing I've done. Transparency, since 1964, folks, we put it all on the computer. It's there. You want to see it, get on the computer and look for it. It's there. We're not hiding anything. Thank you.
Mr. Waters, we'll start with you. Next question. Why should the citizens of Pelham elect you mayor?
I believe that if you'll look at the platforms that all three candidates for mayor have presented to you this campaign season, I believe I'm the only one that have actually talked to specific issues with specific solutions. You have one of the guys over here that talks in cliches and buzzwords and stuff, and you have another guy that's created a record because his last 4 years has been abysmal. You can't run on a record that you create in the last 30 days. You put people at risk, you insult people. This thing about the library, look folks, I'm going to tell you right now, I like books. I read books a lot. But you know, this thing about the library, I've only missed 6 council meetings, and I can tell you that this library that he's trying to win votes with has never, not one time, come before this council. They've never discussed the library until it became politically advantageous for them to do so. There's never been a discussion about a funding mechanism for a library. And I'll tell you what's unconscionable is that you have Mayor Murphy that's actually put one of our own police officers at risk by making her a political pawn in this race. I have put down from the beginning what the problems of Pelham as I see them and the solutions. I have not put down one problem, but I haven't brokered at least one solution for that problem. That's the reason why I think you should vote for me, because I am transparent. You don't have to go look on a computer to ask me my opinion on something. I'll tell you. And I've presented that. You've got to have more than the same old political rhetoric. You've got to have we've got to put some common sense back in City Hall. We've got to put some character back in City Hall. We've got to put an ethical government back in City Hall, and I believe I can do that.
What was it you said I didn't do? I don't need your help. You know, the question was, what? Since I got started up here, I'll start the question.
Why should the citizens of Pelham elect you mayor for the next 4 years?
Because of what I've done and what your city has done in the past 4 years. That's why. You want someone to keep you strong financially. You want to be safe. You want services. It's all there. And you've had them and you enjoy them. You want somebody to look after your schools and help the children. I've done that. It's there. And I'll continue to do it. You want somebody that you can depend on, you pick up the phone and call and come and see. I'm your man. You can do that. I don't apologize for doing a good job. And I'll tell you, the people that's running against me, one of them, he has nothing to offer himself, so he's got to tear the city down. And he says, I'll apologize to all the people who left town. I don't. Because most of the people that left town, they had a reason for leaving, and it wasn't a good reason for sticking around, because your good business is still here. They haven't left. They they know a good place to grow their business and raise their families. So I don't make apologies to folks that's left town. Our other mayor, I won't mention names, but he told the Walmart, when you want to escort you out of town. Well, I haven't told a business that I'd escort them out of town. I don't think you should tell a business you're going to escort them out of town. You keep them in town, and you keep them here to serve the people. I would like to be your mayor for another 4 years, but I don't want to become a mayor for the next 20 years. 8 years is all I want to serve you. And I've served you well in 4 years, and I've kept you strong, and I've kept all your services here. Thank you.
Like I started the comments that I made about, it's really about what you want. And you've got to decide as a community, the individual that you wish to be the representative of you, and to lead the city over the next 4 years. What I offer you is honesty. Now, there's people that like Steve Powell, and there's people that don't like Steve Powell, and that's just the fact of being a human being on this planet. But I challenge anybody in here to find anybody in this room that says that I've lied to you, that I've cheated you, or that I've wronged you. It's just not there. I've made mistakes, and I've tried to be accountable for those mistakes. I've tried to mend the relationships that I've been involved in, where I've been party to there being a demise. So if that's what you want, then I'm the guy that you need to select. If you want a guy that's been innovative most of the career that he served the citizens of Pelham, that would be me. Throughout my career, I was the guy that I brought computers into the fire service. I began to learn to program computers when computers were not taboo. I'm the one that moved the technology forward. I'm the one that developed a plan review process that was used throughout the state of Alabama. I'm the one that was the founding president of the Fire Marshals Association of Alabama. And I'm the one that brings innovation and forward thinking to you, the citizens of Pelham. And integrity. I'm someone that you can trust with your future. Someone that will tell you the good and the bad. I never forget a gentleman that called and was concerned about an issue that he had. After I did the due diligence and found out there was nothing that I could do to solve his problem, I returned his phone call and we had a conversation. If that conversation resulted in him going, I know, Steve, I've already done the research myself, but I appreciate you looking. And even though he didn't get the answer he wanted, he got the fair, honest, and correct answer, and that's what I bring to the table. So thank you.
This concludes the question and answer period of tonight's forum. As was previously mentioned, the sequence for the closing comments was determined by a random drawing. The order for the closing comments will be Mr. Murphy first, then Mr. Waters, and then Mr. Powell. Mr. Murphy.
Sir. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out and being here. Under my administration, and despite economic challenges, our city has remained financially strong. Incredibly strong, according to our accountant. And that's not my accountant, that's the accountant that's been here for 20 years. Better than any other city around, was his comments. You still have over 6 months reserve built. The reserve hadn't gone down, it's gone up. I hadn't heard reserve, and it's up. And you own 40 acres of land that you didn't own. You've got 800 feet or 900 feet of frontage on Highway 31. That's returning a 9.5% interest back to the city. We closed that land a year ago, and we've made $750,000 back. That was on money that you was only getting, and that was $5 million. You was only getting a 0.5% interest on. That's just a good business decision. There's not a banker or a person in here that wouldn't take that. We reduced the city debt, $10 million. When I took over, we was at $60 million in debt. Today, we're less than $50 million. Our future's bright and it's exciting. The thing thing wrong with politics is folks that likes to get out and they want to be powerful so bad, they'll tell anything or do anything to get your vote. I'm not that way. The Health South Rehabilitation Hospital will bring in over 300 jobs, not including the business, which will follow. I've been working on a new library, and the librarian sat here. I saw her earlier, but I've been working on a new library since I came in office. And have you ever heard of the Library Guild? I don't think you're a member of it, but the Library Guild, they work on one new library. Have you been in the library when you can't get in? No place to park? There's many challenges that face us. For the past decade, we've dealt with flooding through our city, water main breakage, and city facilities have operated at almost $1 million deficits. In my address to these work toward viable solutions, I have a background in county, state, and civil service. Business owner. I'm the only business owner standing up here looking at you. I guess I'm the only one that's ever signed the check on the front. I think my other two opponents always signed their check on the back. You know, if Mr. Waters wanted to do something for our city, when he lost the last election, he'd have stuck around and got involved in our city. He'd have stuck and got involved in the civic organization. If he wanted to be the mayor of this city, why didn't he do that? Where has he been for the last 4 years?
Time. Yes.
I appreciate the opportunity to serve you, and I'd like to serve you another 4 years. Thank you.
How much time did he go over? A minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I've stayed true to my campaign pledge to you. The first time you saw anything published from me, I had 3 items on it. 1, to restore ethical government to our city hall. This has been a failed administration. This has been an unethical. Last 4 years, we've been in suspended animation, and I know it's hard for us as friends and neighbors to say these things to each other. But what's missing from our mayor's office is servant leadership, where you're guaranteed that the mayor has your interest at the forefront at all times. When the mayor goes to Montgomery for any reason, you shouldn't have to wonder if he's representing your interest or his real estate business. Now, I'm just calling it like it is. Yes, if the end justifies the means, you need to re-elect Don Murphy. You do. You need to do that. But I'm telling you, where I come from, and what I'm seeing in our country that has me greatly concerned, the gap between what is right and what is legal is getting wider by the day. If it's okay for our mayor to sell to a prospective business or hospital his own property, then you need to re-elect him. I'm the only man up here that cried foul when our city council president, in a course of 30 days, went from being on the council to having a full paid job with the city of Pelham, when the revolving door law in Pelham states clearly that as an elected official, you cannot hold a paying job in the city where you were elected until 1 year after the termination of your term of office. Nobody up here said anything about that. I did. I cried foul. I filed an ethics complaint on behalf of the city for that. Nobody said anything about that. The second thing was restore a positive business climate in our city. And I've talked that to death. We are bleeding business. Every time we lose even the smallest business, we compromise our ability to deliver the services that we all take for granted. And the last thing I had on there was to restore your faith in municipal government. You should not have to worry every 2 weeks that your municipal government is screwing you. And I can't put it any plainer than that. Now, in closing, there's no secret that me and Don Murphy are on opposite sides of the philosophical fence, but I'm trying to help him out. Don Murphy served 1 term on the county commission. Don Murphy served 1 term in the state legislature. I'm going to try to help him to keep his record intact.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Mr. Powell.
Any election is about a choice. That's why individuals offer themselves in service to the community. And no different than this election. You've got three candidates with three unique and different options. One, you can travel backwards. Two, you can maintain status quo. Or three, we can move forward. Now, I've outlined some of the plans that I have for moving forward, and I promise you the model that has existed in government for the last 30 years will not work. There is no way it's not going to happen. The model that you use to fund your family, the model that you use to fill up your gas tanks, the model that you use to decide whether to go on vacation or stay at home, it's not the same model that was for most of us 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The circumstances change, and we must be willing to change with the circumstances. This reinvention that I'm talking about involves strategic reviews at the departmental level. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. We all need to go through those reviews, and I promise you, in this endeavor that I've been through, I've had a lot of reviews of myself, my motives, my strengths, my weaknesses, my faith. We've got to move towards a prioritization of work. We've got to develop a goals-driven budget process to be fiscally accountable. One of the things that I want to mention in contrast about fiscal accountability is there's been discussion about this fire station on Highway 11. Well, I sat down with mapping software with the fire chief, and it's possible to move the fire station that's located only 1.2 miles from City Hall on Highway 52 to the area of Gray Oak subdivision and not add any additional overhead, not any additional cost. That's not the case with what Mr. Waters states on his website. That's an additional $5 million to the taxpayers over the next 4 years and a continuing burden of over $1 million sustainable forever. Because once you put the fire station in there, it's a continued cost. So that's the planning process takes into account those long-term projections of the dollars that we spend today and the implications to you and future generations tomorrow. We have to play to our strengths, our people, our location, our amenities, and I've already spoken about that. We've got the emphasis on marketing, and we've got to put our citizens first, because the question that needs to be asked tonight is not what I want, Mr. Murphy or Mr. Waters wants, but what do you want? Thank you.
Let's give all of our business
To our candidates, thank you so much for your willingness to participate in this forum tonight and your willingness to share your vision for the city of Pelham and for putting yourself forth for public service. We hope that you all found this forum to be informative. We again thank you for participating, for being here tonight, and for being interested enough to want to be an informed voter. We encourage you so much to participate in the August 28th election next Tuesday. Good night, and be safe going home. Thank you.